For most people, the world does not revolve around one and only one person. But for some, it actually does. After the death of a loved one, most people will grieve and feel sad, deeply sad, for an indefinite while. But then they start to see the light and they decide to get up and carry on. However, some people just can't get over it. Instead, they fall into a deep, deep depression and may even get sick or reach a mental breakdown. The following are 8 bands that never said never after the death of a member and 6 that said "F it." Survived Suicide Silence. In 2012, Mitch Lucker, the vocalist of Suicide Silence, died after a tragic motorcycle accident. A tribute show titled "Ending is the Beginning" was held to collect donations for Mitch's daughter. The year after, the band hired Hernan Hermida from All Shall Perish to replace Mitch, and in 2014 they released the album You Can't Stop Me. Did not survive Typo Negative. Peter Steele of Typo Negative died in 2010 of heart failure. The day after, the band released a statement on its official website. Ironically, Peter had been enjoying a long period of sobriety and improved health, and the whole band later decided to call it quits. Survived Slipknot. In 2010, Slipknot bassist Paul Gray, who worked on the band's first 4 albums, died of overdose. The very next day, the band held a press conference to address the tragedy. And in 2011, the band held one of the most emotional tributes live on stage. Gray was replaced by Alessandro Venturella, and the band went on to record 2 new albums, The Great Chapter and We Are Not Your Kind. Split. Led Zeppelin. After drummer John Bonham passed away in 1980, Led Zeppelin decided to break up. Remaining members went on to have their own projects, and the son of John Bonham, Jason, decided to continue his father's legacy by becoming a drummer and joining Led Zeppelin on reunion shows. Remained Mayhem. Mayhem is one of the very few bands that survived after the death of not 1, but 2 members. In 1991, vocalist Per Olin, who went by the stage name Dead, killed himself. And 2 years later, guitarist Øystein Arseth, aka Euronymous, was killed by Varg Vikernes. And despite all that, the band reunited with original bassist Necrobutcher and 2 new members, Maniac and Blasphemer. Perished. Death. In 2001, one of the biggest losses in all metal history occurred when the musical genius Chuck Schuldiner died of brain cancer. After that, the band only released live albums and reissues, and then disappeared. Lived On, Ozzy Osbourne's band. In 1982, legendary guitarist Randy Rhoads died in a tragic aircraft accident, causing Ozzy Osbourne to cancel the Diary of a Madman tour. However, Rhoads was later replaced by Zakk Wylde, and the band continued to make chart-topping albums. Breathed its last breath, Dio. In 2010, the godfather of power metal, Ronnie James Dio, died of stomach cancer. After that, the band only toured with live frontmen. One of them was the former Judas Priest frontman, Tim Ripper Owens, and then the band dissolved. Survived AC/DC. In the year 1980, AC/DC began working on their groundbreaking album, Back in Black. However, and as soon as they started working, frontman Bon Scott died of alcohol poisoning. The band considered quitting, but after they received encouragement from Scott's parents, Scott was replaced by Brian Johnson, and the band released Back in Black in addition to 10 more albums. One of them was Power Up in November 2020. Dissolved. Motorhead. One of the greatest tragedies in all music was the death of Lemmy Kilmister in 2015, only 4 days after his 70th birthday. He died of prostate cancer, cardiac arrhythmia, and congestive heart failure. He was the second member of Motorhead to die that year. The first was drummer Phil Taylor. The very next day, drummer Mikkey D confirmed that Motorhead had ended. There was simply no Motorhead without Lemmy. Went on, Queen. In 1991, Freddie Mercury died due to AIDS. 4 years later, the final Queen album, and also the last to feature Mercury, Made in Heaven, was released. And just when all hope seemed to be lost, in 2005, Queen returned to stage and teamed up with Paul Rodgers. Rodgers never replaced Mercury, but was featured with Queen as Queen plus Paul Rodgers. And in 2011, the exact same thing was done with Adam Lambert. Vanished. Nirvana. Oh boy, this is tragic. When Kurt Cobain took his own life in 1994, he took Nirvana's life and the life of the whole grunge scene simultaneously. Basically, a huge part of rock died with him that day. Nirvana was then done, Foo Fighters happened. I'm not gonna get into the controversial stuff, the Kurt Neil Love thing. Let's just keep it all about Kurt. Continued to reign, Slayer. In 2013, Slayer guitarist Jeff Hanneman died of liver failure. The band was unsure about its future. However, and from Exodus, Gary Holt came to save the day, and the next album, World Painted Blood, was released, featuring material already written by Jeff. Last but not least, and survived, Metallica. In 1982, Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield met bassist Cliff Burton of Drama at the Whiskey A Go Go nightclub. He agreed to join Metallica to replace Ron McGovney for his lack of contribution. Cliff quickly became a huge inspiration and influence for numerous bass players due to being such an innovative musician. However, in 1986, he died in a tragic bus accident. The band replaced him with Jason Newsted from Flotsam and Jetsam, and in 2001 he left the f***ing band, was replaced temporarily by producer Bob Rock, and then permanently in 2003 by current bass player Robert Trujillo from Suicidal Tendencies and Infectious Grooves. Thank you for watching, rest in peace to all the deceased legends. Did I forget anybody? Please tell me in the comments, and like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'll see you soon.